Yo, what is up? The Sports Bag Bros podcast is back on the air. No
Yes,
NFL
sir.
football to talk about, but we're here.
We want to talk about that bogus All-Star game last night.
Man, are you serious, man? That's the reason why you say you didn't watch the game or don't want to watch the game. Kind of sort of the reason why I don't watch the game and haven't watched the game in so long. But I'm not alone, and you're not alone. I think there are a lot of people who do not watch the All-Star game anymore. And I don't even know when I stopped watching it. I just know I haven't really looked forward to it or watched it.
I can't remember the last one I watched. I just know I used to plan my day around it. I mean, growing up, Dr. J, Larry Bird on the same team against Magic and Alex English or whoever.
Yeah.
And then you got Mike and Isaiah and Barkley going against the West. Nowadays, they changed the format. I think that's when I stopped watching. But I don't remember exactly. They changed the format. Now they're gonna have draft picks,
Yeah.
and it's not even East versus West anymore. But at some point they stop caring about who wins. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters versus the Harlem Globetrotters now.
Yeah, right.
No defense played. Let's get this highlight. Let's get that highlight. Whatever. I mean, I can't even tell you what happened yesterday. I saw that Damian Lillard got the MVP.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many points he had. I don't know how many threes. If he was shooting from half court,
Bro,
or
let me tell you.
throwing hook shots like Geese. What was it? I can't remember his name from the Harlem Globetrotters, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the games, but I still caught a couple of highlights because you almost couldn't avoid the highlights. And so I saw some of the stat lines, and I'm like, this is why I didn't watch it. First of all, you see 211 points scored in a basketball game. I think the last time I saw that, Troy State was doing it when they were Troy State instead of Troy and playing Division II basketball way back. But on top of that, 168 three-pointers were taken. 168 three-pointers.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Man, between both teams, they only went to the line 5 times. 1 for 1, and then 3 or 4. 5 times going to the line between both teams, and then you get this absurdity of 168 three-pointers attempted throughout the game. Ridiculous. I mean, come on, man. You talk about comical. Larry Bird said before going into it, man, I wish these guys played hard for the All-Star game. They completely ignored his ass.
Right. And just the fact that LeBron's talking about it, how they can fix it after the game, like immediately after the game in the post-game press conference, they all recognize it's bogus. And the only thing I can think of is give 100,000 to the winners and the losers get jack. That's how you make them. I mean, I don't even know if 100,000 is enough, but
that's what I was about to say. They're making so much now, man. You know, they'll probably get upset about the money they didn't get, but they'll get over it real quick. And I still don't think it's much of an incentive for them to really put it down like it really matters. You would like them to see them play the same way that the in-state tournament was played.
You have deduct each player $500,000.
Oh, see now, dudes they don't want to go there. They're fine for not going.
Man, they might
be a fans game.
It might look like 90s basketball.
Man, this is ridiculous.
The no layup rule in full effect.
Yeah, it's true, man. Just looking at the score, I mean, look, it goes without saying if you're scoring 211 points, chances are you probably scored at least 50 points in each quarter, and that's exactly what the East had done, scored 50 points in each quarter. They were only outscored in the fourth quarter. That's when the West finally got 50 points for the quarter, but still, you get that end result. And by the way, Karl Anthony Towns scored 50 points.
Oh, yeah. And didn't get the MVP, but I guess that's what happens when you lose.
You lose, exactly. But if there were ever a time that the losing team probably could have gotten the MVP and the fans or the players wouldn't be that upset, would have been that situation with 50 points.
Yeah, and I heard Damian Lillard got booed when he got it. Who did the fans want to win it?
Probably Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know what the 50 points. I don't know.
What did Halliburton do? Because
Halliburton started off hot, but then you thought they would highlight him as his home court. But then,
that's what I'm saying. Maybe, I don't know how many points he had, but maybe they thought he deserved the MVP.
Yeah, but nevertheless, man, we got what we got, and it was the S show that it was. Now they had these festivities before the game, like the days before the games, and you see the Steph Curry going against what was the girl's name? Man, come on, is it worth listening to or thinking about right now? He wins the three-point
I'm thinking
contest.
about Jaylen Brown. I'm thinking about Jaylen Brown
Jaylen
because
Brown.
I had a friend over.
Yeah.
We were hanging out. He's like, "Hey, you're not gonna watch the dunk contest?" I'm like, "Hell no." He's like, "Come on, man, put it on. Let's see." All right, so I go put it on. Jaylen Brown, his first dunk was like, "Oh, that was all right." And you got guys jumping over Shaq.
Did
And
they
he
have
jumped
Pablo
over.
Fall a couple years ago?
He
They were
jumped
jumping
over
over
a
him.
short dude in a chair. Come on, man. Nobody jumps over people in chairs no more. And then the dunk he did, it was just a regular. I can't even call it a tomahawk. He just went, caught the pass and dunked it. I'm like, and they gave him like 47s for. I'm like, are you
Dudes are
kidding
crazy
me?
with those scores, man. They're crazy
Right.
with it. They just throwing it up for
Aaron Gordon, Levine, and Vince was on the broadcast, but they got to be like, he got a 47 for that. Come on, man, that's some bullshit. And Vince, he was dogging everybody. He's like, oh, that I'd give him like a 42 on that one.
Vince Carter?
Yeah.
Of course he's gonna smoke anybody who dunks a ball. I mean, that's not him. Yeah,
but I mean, I can't say he was wrong.
That's what I'm saying.
He wasn't throwing shade or hating on anybody. He was just giving his honest opinion.
And compared to what he used to do, that's nothing close to what he used to do when he used to just own his airways. But yeah, man. So who ultimately won that? Was it McClung? I think I heard it was.
Yeah, he's back-to-back champ.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I don't know why the slam dunk contest doesn't matter as much as it used to matter when you did have the star players, at least when they were young, still joining in the tournament or being in the competition when they still had their legs. And of course, Jordan stopped when he got older because of the legs, and he took notice and developed a mid-range game because of it. But now we don't even have the young guys. Like I've said last week, I wanted Ja Morant to do it a couple of times, and he just now he can't do it this year. But man, that's someone who's been doing these spectacular dunks in game that you thought the pressure would be on to see him play or to see him participate.
Yeah, there's a bunch of guys. Ja, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
LeBron should have got in it. I mean, I don't know
why
he didn't. Yeah. I don't want to see him do it now. But I mean, if Mike did it, if Kobe did it, Vince did it.
Yep.
I mean, all the stars, the athletic stars did it. Why didn't LeBron do it?
At some point, exactly, especially when he was young and he was doing that flying through the air routine when he added it all together in his first 5 years, 6 years, he was doing that. Now, it's too late to see him do it, but there isn't anyone else stepping to the forefront, even with any pride. They'll do all of this posing during the regular game, during the regular season, sometimes even the playoffs. But then the following season, when the slam dunk contest conversation comes up, they don't come out and say anything about it. They leave it to people to speculate and wonder if they're getting in.
Yeah, you know what? That's what Vince was saying on a bunch of dunks. Like, oh, that's an in-game dunk right there. Like, there's nothing special about that. That's not a dunk contest dunk. Why is this guy doing that dunk? Why is this guy in this competition? He didn't say that, but if you read between the lines, you shouldn't be doing in-game dunks in the dunk contest.
Yeah, there isn't any imagination. I think people get a little lazy. They're supposedly more athletic now than they've ever been in the NBA. So you would like to see this creativity and that athleticism come together and put up somewhat of a show. This is supposed to be the fans' time if there ever has been a fans' time.
Yeah, my friend Todd, I mentioned him because he's the one I talk sports with the most.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody's like Jordan now. I'm like, everybody's like Jordan. He's talking athletically. He said, yeah, look at Anthony Edwards. Look at Ja Morant. Okay, you named like 6 guys. That's not everybody, bro. Look at Doncic. He's not athletic.
Come on. Look at Doncic.
Jokic running in slow motion. He's not like Michael. I mean, Giannis and Embiid, the big guys, very athletic, but they're not like Michael, So I don't know what point he's trying to make or where he gets his opinion from, but everybody is not like Michael today. They're not.
No, athletically, now they're probably better. They obviously are better man for man than that era of basketball, but to kind of pick and choose guys from that area and bring them over here. Now, there's not going to be too much of a difference, but I still think MJ stands out with his athleticism. I think
and that's all I'm talking about, athleticism. I'm not talking about his game, whether or not he's the GOAT. I'm talking just strictly athleticism. He says everybody's like Mike now.
With today's rules, Mike comes in and does a lot of what he was doing before. AI, with his athleticism, comes in and does probably more than he had done back then when the game was really physical.
Oh, yeah. Now with the game being so wide open, you couldn't stop him from getting to the basket.
Nah, hell no. They couldn't stop him when they were there trying to stop him.
Right.
When those big dogs was in the middle, he was challenging them anyway.
Right. And then you gonna let him travel on top of it? Like they travel now and they don't call
man,
it?
these guys need bags. Come on. Man, I don't know, man. But the NBA, disappointing or not that this all-star game was what it was. You know, Americans, they say love the points. You know, that's why games like soccer don't do well in the U.S. because there aren't enough goals scored. Americans are used to seeing high-scoring games, whether it's football or even basketball. And then now they're embracing kind of like Colorado Rocky baseball when there are games, you know, that go into those double digits for one team. Disappointing for the NBA now?
I think, you know, fast-paced game is what people crave. No one wants to see 75 to 79, you know, Knicks versus the Heat back in the 90s or whatever. Nobody wants to watch that. But, you know, Showtime Lakers, Warriors at their best, up and down, you know, that motion offense, people, Steph and Clay running all over the place. That was fun to watch. And they scored a lot of points. But I don't even like the 16 Warriors, the 17 Warriors, that those prime years of Steph and Clay, they weren't scoring 150 points a game.
Nah, they're doing that now. Indiana in particular doing that now. And you look at yesterday's game, you have nearly 400 points scored, man. 400 points nearly scored in this game. That's everything across the board. And for someone like LeBron to come out in a game that still gives him a chance to highlight himself because the defense is in place, so he can still do a lot of things as an older guy. If he's not liking it, I know other players don't like it. I think even with 50 points, Karl Anthony Towns can't think that he did a great job because he got 50 points. You might as well have been out there in the freaking basketball court at your local park.
Yeah, I mean, but they played more defense at the local parks, man.
They just don't like the calls. They don't like them.
They don't play any defense in the All-Star game. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, you see a guy get the ball in the lane, the defense like, hey, go ahead and dunk it. They're not going to challenge. They're not going to stop him from dunking it. Go ahead, show out, kid.
Now, on the other hand, years ago, they used to have the same thing with the players when Barkley was playing and AI was playing, Mike was playing. They did that. They gave the crowd what they wanted to see. They gave the crowd what they came for. But then the last 4 minutes of the game, they were trying to win the game. And they played, it locked it down, but you still got a chance to see the best players on the planet still play. So you saw it defensively and saw it offensively. If an offensive player did get off, it's because he was that good to get off. No one allowed him to do it. And so it was that.
You still had guys out there who were known as defensive players, and they played defense the whole game. You know, Akeem wasn't going to let anybody just come down the lane and score on him. Same for David Robertson and Ewing. Those guys had too much pride. Like, they may not be playing playoff defense, but you come down the lane, they're not just going to stand there and watch you. They would challenge.
I just thought in a few instances in the beginning of the game, they kind of let them do those off the backboard and slam dunks and things like that. And as the game went on, then they got serious towards the end of the game because they really wanted to win that game. You know, that year AI got the MVP. You know, he went after it. You know, I mean, he was really getting after it. They were really trying to stop him, but we realized that he is that good.
You know what I just thought of too? The MVP award is called the Kobe Bryant Award. You think he would? I'm sure he would want his name taken off that trophy right now. It's like, there ain't no MVPs in that game, man. Give me my fucking name back.
I don't know, man. Kobe might have been down with it. Can remember when he got those damn points he got when he played his last game, and they were just giving it to him.
Yeah, but Kobe played to win, man. Them guys
played to win.
They don't care.
They were just giving that dude the go ahead, the green light. If he was half court, green light. Come out the locker room, green light. They was giving him every chance to put up all those points. But yeah, Kobe, you know, we already know the personality.
Kobe, That's Kobe, though.
Yeah, exactly. We already know Kobe when he played in a serious game or anytime there was a basketball court involved, he was bringing his A game and he was trying to win the damn game. You know, he just seemed like this grown old man in every game he played. Championship game, playoff game, you know, whatever game. He He just was a grumpy old dude, and he never was satisfied. He hugged the ball when he won, then he's looking forward to the next season already. That's just the mentality he had. But, man, I just think that this game yesterday was just, I'm not going to call it an embarrassment. It just was a bad game. I mean, I didn't watch it. Just going by the numbers, it had to be a bad game. It's good for the people in Indiana who paid to be there, but outside of that, nah.
I can't really speak to how good or bad of a game it was because I didn't watch it.
That score alone.
I haven't watched any highlights, but you're saying 168 threes?
168 3-point attempts.
That sounds like a glorified shoot around to me.
That's what it was, man. Forget Steph Curry's little thing the day before. Just shoot this ball out and do it that way. And that's what you got.
And here's another thing, the 3-point contest. Somebody was saying Bird, when he won, he only had this many points. Bird or whatever. Bird didn't have an entire money rack. He didn't have 2 extra balls from the wing that counted for 3 points. Are you kidding me?
They're just regular balls.
That's a possible 16 more points these fuckers get. And they're trying to compare these guys' point totals to Bird's? Fuck out of here, man.
Well, you know how that goes, man. It's always the next man up, next generation up. Everybody's trying to degrade the previous generation's best player.
That's like saying
for their own new player.
That's like saying Jim Brown never rushed for 2,000 yards. Jim Brown never played in a 14-game season, nor a 16-game season, nor a 17-game season. Had he played in a 14-game season, he would have. 16 for sure. 17, shit, he might have had 2,500.
That's what I'm saying, man. Come on now. People get ridiculous because they think they have to tear down someone from the past to uplift their guy right now, whoever it is. I mean, even looking back on this season, even with the injuries and the extra game, Travis Kelce, I still don't think he's better than Tony Gonzalez, Kansas City Chiefs' other tight end, great tight end. He didn't get 1,000 yards this season with 17 games. He's missed some games, but that's football. He had 5 touchdowns all regular season. So
he's older though.
Yeah, he's older now.
He's in his prime right now.
And the wear and tear. But I remember when Tony Gonzalez, even when he went to Atlanta, he was still making plays, and he was way past his prime then. But in any event, I mean, it's just people tearing down past generations to uplift whoever they're jocking this time around. That's the nature of sports. It's just going to happen that way.
That's true. I mean, for the most part, when people aren't objective and they're nut hugging and slobbing all over guys, they can't think or see things clearly.
Nope. Now, sticking with basketball, but going over to a little bit of college basketball, again, Purdue loses as a number 2 team. They lose to Ohio State, who just fired their coach. I mean, Ohio State is in disarray this year, and at home they got up enough gumption to beat Purdue, the number 2 team. And I think you go to this bracketology, they're talking about them being a number 1 seed, which is still possible. It's not impossible. They're not going to fall too far.
They were a number 1 seed last year.
It didn't matter, right? And also
right, it didn't matter. You know how I feel. I think their guards can struggle at times. There's a lot of talk about Braden Smith, and he had a game with I think 14 assists or 15 assists. I want to know who was that against. Don't tell me what you did. Tell me when you did it. Because in the tournament last year, they couldn't get the ball to a man standing 7 feet 4 inches tall. When they needed a basket, they couldn't get it to their big man. And if you're a point guard and you can't get it to a man that big, you got issues.
Yeah, that may be the case, but I watched a little bit of that game yesterday. This guy's hands aren't that great either. He got that ball smacked out of his hand a couple of times on consecutive possessions. I watched and I was like, man, this guy, he's stiff, first of all. We already talked about that, and that's the reason why he didn't get drafted last year. He think it can help his draft stock this year. I don't think it's going to help. He'll probably end up over in China with Taco Fall, but he just can't hang on to the ball. You think some of those big paws that some guy can just smack the ball out of his hand. And it happened twice yesterday in a small period of time, leading to the loss that they eventually had gotten. And at the time that it happened, they were ahead.
He may have had a bad game. Usually he has good hands.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, you know what? You're up in that area. You get a chance to watch him a lot more than I do. But just looking at his body language and looking at the way he just plays, he's just slow. He looks lethargic.
Oh, he's definitely slow.
Oh my God, the guy is
he's
slow.
like Lurch in basketball shoes.
Exactly, man. This dude has sand in his shoes. And, you know, another college basketball team that I was looking forward to watching this year, still kind of looking at, but now get a chance to watch more of them since the football season is over. St. John's, all of the hoopla with Rick Pitino coming to St. John's, the greatest coach since Lou Carter II, I guess. Well, it definitely is. And his team started off kind of sort of hot. Now they're like one of the worst teams in the Big East with all these losses. He called out his own team the other day. He talked about man for man. He mentioned names, had receipts. This guy is too slow laterally. He can't play defense. This guy ain't tough enough. He talked about Joel Seriano, who I was on top of, man, but he was like, this guy's slow. That's his best player. He said this guy is slow. And that's the center. But you know what? He's not wrong. Looking at the stat line and for the few games I've seen, man, I thought he would be an NBA prospect. And based on height, he can be. But with those slow feet and not moving laterally, just like Rick Pitino said, I don't know about his NBA chances. Maybe being at St. John's and Rick Pitino giving a good word. Well, he started off bad now because he's bad-mouthing him. But damn, I'm just shocked.
Doesn't sound like he has a chance.
No, well, not after that barrage.
Did you look at somebody like Vucevic with the Bulls? He's a turnstile on defense. And I wouldn't say that he's a bad athlete. He's not a good athlete.
He was a double-double machine down in Orlando.
Nobody was paying attention.
Yeah.
Now he's in Chicago.
He's in Chicago, exactly. But no reason why I even brought him up, because I went to the Orlando Magic Media Day that year, and I just ran into him trying to be funny, just running into him, bump him. Bro, the dude's like an oak tree. And I think to myself, man, this dude's huge. And you think about, man, this dude is, if you had a list of NBA top 25 players, he's not on the list. He's not on the list. There's 25 other dudes so much better than this dude. I'm like, that just gives you an idea how freaking freakish these athletes are.
Yeah, that's true. But I tried watching the UConn Marquette game, and I did watch.
Blowout, bro.
Yeah, I did watch until it started to get ugly. I'm like, all right, well, I don't have a dog in the fight. I just wanted to see some good basketball. Marquette cannot shoot. They had open looks. They could not buy a basket.
They could use Dwayne Wade once again as a shooting guard that can make it go in. But you know what? UConn picking up kind of sort of where they left off last season. They lost players, but Hurley is a hell of a damn coach, man. I mean, the whole family is. His father was one of the best high school coaches of all time. He's in the Hall of Fame from a high school coach, for being a high school coach. Yeah. So, yeah.
You can take this with a grain of salt, but they were showing the numbers comparatively to last year's team, and this year's team right now has better numbers.
You know what? The Big East, I've always respected the Big East. I've always thought when they were at their best, they were the best. You know, the ACC wasn't the Big East when the Big East had all their teams and it was going, it was popping. You know, it's not the same anymore, but when there is a good Big East team, they normally do some work, whether it was Louisville doing work or UConn doing some work or Villanova doing some work. You know, when that Big East team seems to be the hot hand, they usually do something with it.
Right. Man, I miss those big Mondays ESPN had started back in the day. They had an ACC matchup and then the Big Ten matchup. And usually I think they might have a Pac-10 matchup, but it was too late. I had school the next day. I couldn't stay up and watch those games.
But
yeah, you'd have games. You'd have Syracuse versus Georgetown, and then you'd have IU versus Purdue right after that. Man, those days were crazy.
Man, and I hate that college basketball has become what it is right now. And we talked about, I think, a few times over just the time we've been doing the show, how it's not the same anymore. The talent pool in basketball in college is not the same anymore because the talent level isn't there. Players going to entities like Overtime Elite or now going down to Australia or somewhere else overseas where they could play basketball and do the one and done over there or just wait around until their opportunity comes to play in the NBA. But while they're out there, they're still playing against pros who are technically sound and fundamentally sound, and playing against those guys is a benefit, like LaMelo Ball with the Lithuanian. And at 15 years old, he was dropping 30 points. I mean, that hellified helped his game because before that, I heard people saying this guy would never go to the NBA. And I was wondering what the hell are they looking at? I'm watching his videos, and this dude's his shooting was on point then.
Yeah, for guys who believe basketball is their future, they now have opportunities other than college. and that's good for them. You know, not everybody is a good student. Not everybody wants to go to class.
And that's
You
true.
know, so if your career is basketball, you have other options, and good luck to those guys.
Yeah, and I think Overtime Elite does even better. They give you tutors, and if you don't make it to the NBA, I think they give you $100,000, man. So
Wow.
you know what? If you put your life into the Overtime Elite and things didn't work out, you still got that $100,000 if you're a smart guy and do something with that moving forward.
Right.
But yeah, they're really invested in these kids. It's not just everybody wants to get paid. It's about capitalism. But at least they're looking out for the kid, even if he doesn't hit that big money. They're giving you a chance to kind of leave with something. And if you're smart enough or have smart enough people around you, you can do something with that money and just have a better life because of it. But college basketball, and because of the way things are now, that's why I said last week and before that, you're going to probably have more 16-1 upsets or 15-2 upsets. I mean, it's not going to happen routinely, but you're going to get a lot of scares now because the talent is like that. Almost all the teams are the same. And then you have the transfer portal where there are wholesale changes on teams in one season.
Yeah. You know, the smaller schools, their players stick around for 3 and 4 years. The transfer portal is not as prevalent in basketball as it is in football. So guys go to school and usually they stay there. And that's what happened to Purdue last year. They ran up against a tough team with a lot of veterans and a lot of experience. And Purdue's backcourt was inexperienced and they got exposed.
And that St. Peter's team that did the same thing to them. I mean, St. Peter's, man, a small school in Jersey City. I mean, they're in the MAAC. Come on. I mean, they shouldn't even have won that conference that year. It's just that they got a favor for them when Iona got kicked out because they was the odds-on favorite to win it. But nevertheless, that's exactly what it is. And then, you know, you look at going back, I guess, when you talk about the transfer portal with college football, there's a guy here, Seatric Faze, and he played for the Minnesota Vikings, and he went to the University of Florida. I believe he was an All-American or at least All-SEC. I covered him since he's been here in Jacksonville. I remember him as a junior in high school, and he was the number one. He and Maurice Claret, 1A and 1B, pretty much is the top running backs in the country. He's now the head coach there, and he put up something on his Facebook account. He just kind of went after the parents because there's parents probably going after him about their kids not getting scholarships. And he's straight up saying, yo, if you're not getting looks, you're not good enough. He said there are coaches going out there all the time, and with social media being what it is, going to YouTube, coaches going to games, going to state championship games, going to jamborees, going to spring practice. If they don't see your kid stand out, he's not that good. And then the parents have such egos and they're so delusional, they turn down Division II opportunities and NAIA opportunities because they believe their kid is a Division 1A school, a 1A player. And he told it like it was, man. And he obviously had a recent issue with someone for him to write it down the way he had done, line after line. And then the parents want to speak poorly towards him, saying the coach didn't do enough. He's like, no, it's not the coach. It's you. It's your kid. And then it's you being delusional, transferring your kid because you believe that the coach is not giving him a shot. And then he goes somewhere else still doing nothing. Your kid wasn't that good.
Yeah, if they're looking for their kids to go D1 and they're not D1 talent, then that's a problem. But there are cases out there where maybe the coach isn't doing all he could do. My friend Todd, his dad was the basketball coach at our high school, and a kid from the city but went to a private school. His coach wasn't helping him, so he came and knocked on Coach Todd's door and explained the situation. I want to go to college. My coach isn't helping me. You know, what can you do? And he got him into a school. So
yeah, I can see that, but
he was willing to go anywhere though. It's not like he wanted to go to Duke.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So go where you think you have opportunity or where opportunity may knock. You know, and I think that one of the things he brought up also was how, you know, these players want to go to a top school, but they may not have the talent for it. But he said, yo, if you think you're one of those Division I schools, Florida's more of an exception. Florida, Texas, and a lot of these big hardcore football playing states. But he says if you're not one of the top 10 or 15 players in the city of Jacksonville, chances are, you know what, you probably aren't that top 1A player. You may be able to go to New Mexico State, but the SEC and the ACC and the Big Ten does a good job of coming down here You know, you might not make it. You might not be that kind of guy. He says top players like that, they show up all the time in practice, in games, jamborees, anything like that. So if there's anyone watching at any given time, you're going to see that talent. So if you are that talented, regardless of when you get out there, it's almost ironically as hell. Leon Washington, never heard of the guy before I came to Jacksonville. I just knew I wanted to see Seattle Fagan because he was the top running back. They played Leon school that year. I went to watch Seattle Fagan. We rushed into the game, didn't have a program, so we didn't even get the chance to see what number he was. So I figured a dude that talented, I'm going to see how nice he is. No one's nice on that side yet. And then this dude breaks a 40-yard run, but he had number 40. I'm like, that must be him. But I'm thinking, even on that 40-yard run, he's not that. I don't see anything special. On the other hand, Leon Washington, number 3, never heard of him. This dude's killing. The first time I saw him run, the dude that was with me, I said, yo, this is the best player in the city of Jacksonville. I hadn't even seen too many other people. I said, this is the best player in the city of Jacksonville. If you're one of the best in Jacksonville, you might be one of the best in the state. If you're one of the best in the state of Florida, chances are you're one of the best in the country. And as it turned out, that was his junior year. He went to his senior year, won Mr. Football, go to Florida State, obviously got selected to the NFL and did his thing. But that's what the point I'm making is that you could see the talent on these players, whether you're going to see someone else or not.
Yeah, that's true. Cream rises to the top.
All the time. And I used to go to his practices, and I remember him get his bell rung one time. Went right back out there, got some Gatorade, went right back out there. He took a couple of players off because he got really stuck. But you saw the talent. I knew from jump this dude's going to the NFL. And it's very rare that you could just look at a high school player because you know the differences between high school and then going to college and then going to the pros. It's like such a galaxy away from one another. But I just knew when first time I saw him, that was the best player I've seen in person in a long time. Now to this day, the best I've seen in person on the high school level still today. But yeah, but you got to have that talent when they show up. If they come to your practice, you got to show you a dog. They go to your spring practice, spring game, you got to show you a dog. You can't turn it on and off. You're either a dog or you're not.
So speaking of dogs, let's talk about Caitlyn Clark.
Yes, bro.
She broke the record. We congratulated her in advance. We knew she was going to break it. But, bro, how she broke it. You know, I'm a huge Walter Payton fan. He's the reason why I love football. When he broke the record, it wasn't on a special play. It was like a 4-yard run.
Yeah, I remember that run against the Saints, right?
Yeah. When Emmett broke it, it was a little bit better, but it was like a 7-8 yard run. Nothing special. You know, not like he busted through the hole, hit the sideline, was gone for 65. Caitlyn Clark, man, she came out, scored the first 8 points of the game, and she shot that logo. Man, that got to be at least 42 feet away. That's how you break a fucking record,
bro. And that's right. And you still have these haters out there because, of course, there was no shortage of them. Go to YouTube, see the comments. There's no shortage of them. I don't know how you can say anything negative, at least in this light that she's in right now, breaking a record like that, other than having your own not so subtle agenda. She's absolutely phenomenal as a player, and these people in the WNBA in particular better be happy when she gets there because that's going to be one of those rare occasions where people are going to watch your games. That includes people who actually breathe. They're going to get a chance to watch your game. And she might be the reasons why they're going to probably make a little bit more money if she pans out right. The unfortunate part is for them, she's going to make money coming in because of endorsements, and they're going to hate it.
Yeah, but props to Kelsey Plum. She congratulated her. She was very gracious. And you know, you have other people coming out on Caitlyn Clark's side. You got Shaq giving her flowers. Dawn Staley giving her flowers. You know, flowers she's deserved. So, you know, there's a lot of people hating out there for, we know the reason. But there's also people supporting her. You know, Stephen A. gave her props. So, you know, kudos to those people, you know, not following that bullshit narrative and just being honest.
Yeah, I'm thinking that the people that support her, they way outnumber the people who don't support her. It's just that the people who don't support her are so vitriolic towards her that it just stands out more than everyone cheering. You know, it's like that one person that's boo when everybody's cheering. You can hear this stuff in the audience like, bro, shut up. You know what I mean? But that's what they're doing. The ones who don't like it for whatever the reason there is, and we know what the reason is many times. But yeah, I'm glad that people who actually matter are giving her.
Cheryl Swoop's dumbass. I heard she doubled down on her comments, and her original comments were fabrications.
Oh, BS.
Just straight up lies. How you gonna double down on it when everybody knows you're fucking lying?
And that's exactly what she was doing. She knows
FTB, man. FTB.
FTB.
Fuck that.
Well, yeah, acronyms, man. But yo, she got what she got, man, because I remember when she was just bringing up nonsense of, well, I wouldn't really acknowledge this record because they had to have done it in the same amount of games. Caitlyn Clark did it in fewer games. What are you talking about?
And she's gonna pass Pistol Pete.
For real.
She's like 96 points away from Pistol Pete.
And as
long as she stays healthy, that's probably 3 games.
Man, I'm on this bandwagon like just as much as you like watching the highlights. Anytime there's a chance to watch it, and if it comes down here in Jacksonville, of course, I'm on top of it trying to check it out. Even that game they lost a couple of weeks ago when it was down here. But yo, I mean,
if people want to say, and I'm not going to say throw shade, but if they want to say, well, Pistol Pete never had the 3-point line, that's a fact.
Yeah.
If he had a 3-point line, his record would be so far
ahead.
I mean, he fucking averaged 44 a game with no 3-point line.
Just traditional threes, taking the beater.
He would have averaged probably close to 50. Let's say he made 4 threes a game. Yeah, he'd average 50.
That's what I'm saying. He was nasty, man. There's no way around it.
But yeah, she's gonna break the all-time record, male and female. So
yeah, and more power to her for doing it. And I'm glad it's happening the way it's happening, especially with these kooks who are so-called socially aware when they don't like it happening because it's her. So I can live with that. If it was somebody else, it would be a different story, but it's her. And then not only that, she doesn't let the noise get to her. You know what I mean? She doesn't play into the noise. She does her little ring things. She does a little thing that she did last year, but she doesn't really go out to say things badly about other people. She doesn't try to degrade other people. And she's just not one of these real ostentatious kind of players. She's fiery within the realm of the game.
I believe she gets it too. She stays after games and signs hundreds of autographs.
She's a freaking rock star.
She understands. She gets it. The people are coming to see her. They want her autograph, and she obliges.
She's the Beatles. She's selling out everywhere. She's selling out because they sell out wherever she goes because she's there. And now that she's broken the record, they're still going to show up. She's an affable person for the ones who want to accept it.
She's showing her appreciation. I saw one video. She came to take a rest on the bench, and there's a little girl, probably like 9, 10 years old, maybe. She had a sign or a jersey, and she wanted to ask for an autograph, and somebody's coaxing her, even Caitlyn's teammate. Yeah. Like, yeah, go ahead and ask her. And she turns and she's like, after the game. So they finish the game. She goes, does her thing, and she remembered to come back to that little girl and sign the autograph for her.
It was easy to walk away, too. It was easy to get caught up in the crowd and use that as an excuse to get out of there. Some people are genuine like that. And I don't think it's a case of, I know the cameras are on me, I have to do it. That's either in you or it's not, because we've seen people do other things when they came with autographs in the past. People just completely ignore you. I don't sign autographs, or Ricky Henderson. I'm not signing bats for free.
Ricky don't sign autographs.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he says. So we've seen that thing in the past. But basketball wise, I forgot to mention it, so might as well do it now. Jacques Vaughn fired by the Nets. Kevin Ali is now the new coach. He's the one, obviously, he coached UConn to their championship back in 2014. He had a contentious legal battle with UConn. Afterwards, he was out of there because they couldn't win again. They didn't do much of anything. But now he's the coach, interim coach. And I think if he does anything with this team, because they did play well last year, that's what got Jacques Vaughn. I believe he got that extension. But now they're not doing as well. And Ben Simmons, I think, needs to take the brunt of it as well. But now Kevin Ali is the coach, and he could shed that label of being an interim coach and take the full-time job if they play well for him.
Yeah, that remains to be seen. But are the Nets really that talented?
I mean, they got into the playoffs last year. I mean, they weren't expected to. So I guess kind of like Sacramento last year, snuck up on everybody, kind of slid in there. They might not do it now, but I guess, I'm wondering what more can they change with a new coach who was on the staff? I mean, did he give any suggestions when he was an assistant coach on the staff? No, bro,
Right.
this is not working. How about this? So if you knew that much more than the previous coach, you think that would have been added because it's supposed to be a team game.
You never know, though. But look at Pat Riley and Phil Jackson.
Yeah.
And I'm not comparing Kevin Ollie to Pat Riley and Phil Jackson. I'm just saying, an assistant coach taking over for the head coach.
Yeah.
It's been done before.
I don't mind. See, if Kevin Ollie got the job, man, after what happened at UConn, I mean, I was actually on UConn's side with it. I wouldn't mind him, being the coach with the Nets. I'm not even a Nets fan, but I think, I don't know, by most accounts from what I've heard in the media, he's not a bad dude. He just had a bad situation up there in UConn. That's it. So, if he could get the job and do something with that team, it's still a talent thing. And they're still so far behind talent-wise, even behind the Knicks. So, there's some work to be done. But if he gets the job and they shut that interim tag, I don't think they need to do one of these long, high and far job, finding a new coach, job searches for a coach, looking for a coach. So they got one of their staff. I think he could probably get the job. They just have to respond to what the hell he's doing with his team. So I don't know.
So what do you think about Ryan Clark?
I didn't hear anything about Ryan Clark.
Oh, contract dispute. He might be leaving ESPN.
Here we go.
I think
what's going on, man?
He wants more money, but my thing is, and did they bring him on First Take? They bring him on. I don't know the NFL show, NFL in the Morning with Mikey, but all he does is really talk football for the most part.
Yep.
So it's not like he's talking basketball. He's talking baseball. He's got to diversify himself.
Yep.
Make himself more valuable. But it looks like he's leaving because they're not going to give him what he wants.
So where's he?
But I respect his opinion on football.
Oh yeah, you know what? He's a football player. He was a damn good football player. Mm-hmm. But does he go to somewhere like the NFL Network where he can talk football all the time? Bart Scott had that same problem in New York when he went to WFAN. He talked so much about football because he's a linebacker or was a linebacker in football. So, and then when baseball came, he started kind of like talking nasty about the players, not saying much and getting things wrong. You can't do that in New York. When you go to those places like New York or Chicago, LA their sports fans have always been like deficient. But when you go to places like Philadelphia, Boston, New York, Chicago, bro, you gotta talk about those teams. You gotta talk about the Rangers hockey in New York. You gotta talk about the Devils who are right across the river. You gotta talk about the Islanders. You can talk about the Jets and Giants, but you got so much more to talk about than the Mets. Everybody, you got to talk about them. You got to give details because many times the people listening know more than you any damn way. Yeah, it is true, bro. I mean, I've grown up in that WFAN area, man. There were women who knew baseball, and I was like spinning around like Linda Blair and The Exorcist, wondering what the hell was going on. They were just getting it. But yeah, man, if he's going to be that one-dimensional, he may need to go to the NFL Network where he'll be allowed to go and be one-dimensional.
That's true. But I like Ryan Clark. He's sensible. He doesn't throw shade at anybody. Not like your boy Scott, who you just mentioned, ain't not Brock Purdy all the time.
Yeah, right.
So, like, it's with me, it seems like Scott has an agenda against Purdy.
Really?
And you don't ever see that with Ryan Clark, no matter who he's talking about. Doesn't seem like he has an agenda one way or the other. You ask him a question, he answers the question honestly.
Yeah, but the agenda, what is really the agenda? Brock Purdy was a Mr. Irrelevant, and now you're saying he's just a game manager. He throws for over 30 touchdowns in the season, gets his team to the Super Bowl. They wouldn't do it without him. You could put another quarterback in there, but guess what you're going to say? Put Justin Herbert, a guy that has that talent, or another top quarterback. Put him in there. Put Josh Allen there. Put Joe Burrow there. Those are the guys you're looking at because if you took any one of those lesser quarterbacks, do they go anywhere with freaking Deshaun Watson? No. Or Joe Flacco? No. But they did with Brock Purdy.
Well, you asked, what's the agenda? Jay Williams said Caitlyn Clark is not great. She has to win the chip. And everybody, to their credit on the show, is like, what? What about, was Charles Barkley great? Yeah, Barkley, he don't have a title.
Nope, at Auburn on the NBA.
They called his ass out. But he's like, that's just how I feel. If it's about championships, we say it's always about championships. Not when it comes to college basketball.
No way. He needs
No.
to stop. Get out of here with that,
He
man.
went out of his way to throw shade at Caitlyn Clark. And that's what I mean. Sometimes you can tell when someone has an agenda.
Yeah. Because even Shaq, when he was at LSU, they didn't get a national championship. And, well, he still became a Hall of Famer, one of the most dominant NBA players ever. You can go down the list of people who played well in college, very well, went number 1 overall, but their team didn't win a championship. I mean, come on now. But, hey, you know what? These agendas these guys have, I don't know if they really believe what they're saying or they believe it's going to get that buzz that they think they need for people to respond the way they would desire them to respond. I think some of these people really believe, like Cheryl Swoops believes what she's saying. That's why she's doubling down. That makes it even worse that she actually believes it. She's not saying it for clicks. She's not saying it for attention. She's saying it because she believes it and she doesn't like what's happening. She doesn't like what's happening. What else? What other reason?
She's going to be real mad in about a week and a half when Caitlyn breaks Pistol Pete's record.
She's going to start punching the air like Trey from Boys in the Hood. He just start swinging at the air. She's going to be pissed off at it when she breaks the record, Pistol Pete's record, because now people are going to give her credence for being a woman and man, beating the men's and women's record. And you know that really digs in the wrong way when you already have your agenda.
But she's already the only one with 3,500 points, 1,000 assists, and 900 rebounds.
Yeah, and it's not even all about her scoring, man. Her assist.
It's a list of one.
Bro, you look at these players that I watched, even when I didn't watch more UConn basketball being in the New York area. Or even when I was down here, when there was an opportunity when they really had it popping like that, winning all those damn games. You saw their players, and Diana Taurasi was one of those players. And she didn't play like her. And she had a better supporting cast. If you had Caitlyn Clark on any of those UConn teams, man, there would be a mercy rule. There would be a mercy rule.
Probably.
Unbelievable. And I've seen, Rebecca Lobo when she was there. There was some damn good players coming out of freaking UConn, and none of them were like her. You think about her, you talk about the 47-foot shot, 42-foot shot. You don't think about the way she looked at the game and the way she gets her assist and all these things that she does outside of shooting the ball. The way she just has that IQ. The last time you heard somebody talk about a female basketball player and say basketball IQ? It's usually what they do and what they don't do.
Right, usually never.
Exactly. Now you're hearing it a lot more. And some people may take offense to it because it's her and not someone else they would prefer it to be. And now you're trying to insinuate. No, there is no insinuation. Just watch what you're seeing and see how she does it.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I guess I said about all I can say on Caitlyn.
And she deserves it, though, because she's doing something. The same attention would have been given to anybody else in that position. Because if anyone else was in that position, they would have been getting the same attention leading up to breaking the record. Like anyone else who's about to break a record of that significance, you start hearing about it a lot earlier, and you want to project to when it may just happen. And if it happens to be the season that you're playing, hey, you like it to happen before a tournament season because you know if other than injury, it's likely going to happen.
Yeah, and it's not just about her shooting. You mentioned her. Yeah, it's her shooting from the logo. It's her behind the back passes. It's her buzzer beaters. I mean, she does it all. Right.
Yeah, Gus Johnson, cold-blooded. That's it, man, right there. That's would have been her. And she's good for television.
Like she hit a buzzer beater, I think it was against Michigan State. And people were trying to say she didn't even get it off. She didn't even get it off. And then they showed the still frame of her with the ball out of her hand with the light still not red. She fucking got it off. What are you people complaining about?
People try to make things up and they want to rewind it to make it seem as if, you might just don't believe your eyes, man. Believe me screaming louder than you should be seeing. And it's just where we're at right now. And you know what? Have you heard anything about the NIL with her? With NIL? I don't think I heard anything. I thought someone was definitely hung themselves.
They're saying she might get a pay cut if she goes to the WNBA.
Oh, that's probably the truth. You know what? Maybe these entities stay on her when she does go to the WNBA. You know what I mean? So she could come to the WNBA already with these sponsors or these entities. And it's going to be a problem in the beginning just because of ego.
I'm sure she'll get Gatorade and Nike.
she's gonna be all over the place. I'm glad that these athletes,
whatever shoe deal she decides to go with, Nike, Reebok, whoever.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, this is the most equitable way it could have ever been done. The NIL is the most equitable way, because for years I didn't want players to get paid, because you hear these other people, well, they're like slaves. Yeah, okay. Tell those Vanderbilt players they're like slaves when the education is over 75, now over 80,000 per year. So if you have a player at Vanderbilt going 4 years, bro, $320,000. Come on, man, get out of here with that. So you're talking about even a school like Hofstra University, which is even D1, that's over $70,000 a year. You're tripping. Come on. So I'm seriously, and you hear these people say that, but I've always wondered, how are they going to be able to do it? How would they be able to work something out, paying these players fairly? Does the backup get what the starter gets? If the starter gets injured, does the backup get a pay raise, or do you take money away from the starter? But now, with your name, image, and likeness, it allows the invisible hand of the open market to dictate who gets what. If you know how to market the hell out of yourself and you're a third string kicker, you do it better than the starting kicker, get your money. Do it. Let the free market decide. And she's in the free market, and she's killing it right now. She deserves to kill it. And she's going to do even more when she gets to the NBA.
She does. She deserves whatever she's getting.
Absolutely.
She brings so much attention to women's basketball.
Yep.
I can't think of anybody else who's ever come close to bring this much attention.
Nope, and I don't even think it's a social media age deal, because this social media has been popping for so long that we've had enough players come through the pipeline who could have gotten just as much attention for being as good as they were, and they haven't gotten it to this degree. And she's been doing it in the Big Ten and Iowa, a school that you typically wouldn't look at to put out those kind of plays. Even on the women's basketball, you think about the bigger teams like Stanford, or even what Tennessee used to be, and UConn and Baylor. Those are the bigger women's basketball teams. She's coming out of freaking Iowa, and they're ranked big time because of her. She's carrying them.
That's for sure.
Now, baseball's coming up. Otani's not playing in the first spring training game. That's no big deal. Spring training baseball is not really a big deal unless you just love watching baseball, which I don't mind, and I definitely do. I don't mind. I'll catch baseball any way I can get it. So,
the worst is the split squad when you got
guys you never freaking heard before.
You got scrubs in two lineups.
The team.
You got scrubs in two lineups. Come on.
Oh
man.
God, yeah, split squad games, man. Get the Yankees A, Yankee B. You hearing dudes that you didn't even hear when you was watching baseball tonight, or even the baseball magazines that come out. And there's some players that actually kill it, and then they still don't make the team. Like, wait a minute, maybe you bring them up a little later during the season. I don't know. Yeah, but baseball is about to come, but it's now completely officially all basketball from here on out. Whether it's college or pro, it's all basketball moving forward. And then, of course, the combine. Another thing I wanted to mention about that, they're trying to get rid of what that S2, I believe they call it. That test is called that intellectual test. I think it might have taken the place of Wonderlic.
Uh-huh.
And they Athletes First wants it taken away, because that's the team, the organization that represented, the agency that represented CJ Stroud. He got that low score last year. We know out of 100, I think he got like 18. And he says, yo, I'm not a test taker. I'm a football player. You know what I mean? People made it seem like he was just a dumb jock. And these tests typically try to decide how well you would do at typical positions, because different scores for different positions. And as a quarterback, shoot, the load you have to take in, you got to be the most cerebral, I guess. And so for him to get that low, it just projected him to be like, oh man, he's gonna be a bust. We see that now. That damn thing didn't matter, because it's supposed to decide how fast you can process information, how well you can get rid of the ball if you're a quarterback, and how you read defense, all that stuff. And apparently for this one case, it's not working, because he became the player rookie of the year because of it. But we've seen in the past, though, with Vince Young, it does matter, at least with the Wonderlic, because he didn't show that he could read a defense.
So who do they petition to have it taken out?
Well, Athletes First, I think they're petitioning the NFL and the people who control the draft, I guess, or the combine. So, the combine is next week. Well, is it next week? The week after next? I know it's going from February till March this time around, I believe. Or it might just start in March. No, it does February to March. But anyway, yeah, you go to, I think the director of the combine would be someone you would speak to, I would believe, if they're putting it together. But you do, I think you still have to have some kind of, and only half the teams use it though.
See, yeah,
So
well, I'm
it's not
thinking,
mandatory.
how would it affect athletes? So let's say CJ Stroud, for instance, maybe it prevented him from being number one,
That's
but
exactly what they mentioned.
he went to a better situation in Houston,
Yeah.
and I'm sure he's not upset about not going number one.
Well, I mean,
So
yeah,
I
but you know
think
what?
I
It
think
messed with his money because sight unseen, we don't know that things are going to turn out the way they turned out in Houston. Going by the way things went, well, we was expecting Houston to be a flop until he was the difference. You know what I mean? So going into the season, we was like, man, Houston's going to just be Houston. No big deal.
But I'm saying, like, for the better athletes, let's say the first 2 rounds, are their tests really going to change their draft position drastically that much?
I think at the quarterback position, it has the potential to do it. Because you never could have.
I'm thinking in the later rounds.
In the later rounds,
this guy, he scored off the charts, but this guy, he's dumb as a rock. We're not going to draft him.
Look at Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, had the highest score. And you see Eli Manning had a great score. And Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't a great quarterback. He was serviceable at best, had some exciting moments, but nothing special at all. But I guess there's also a premium put on it depending on how early you're taking these players. I think there's less to it the later you go in the draft. If you're a 6th rounder and they're taking a quarterback in the 6th round, I don't think they really look at your IQ test or look at your Wonderlink or this S2 test. I don't think they really look at it that much there. Then if they look at a franchise quarterback who's supposed to go number 1 overall or top 10 or anyone in the first round, I think it might affect them, at least the thinking of the upper management, more dealing with those kind of players than it would be a later rounds player because, you know, in a 4th, 5th, 6th round quarterback-wise, you're probably not going to make the team anyway, in their opinion, until you prove you can.
Well, that's what I was getting at. If that's a factor in the guy not getting drafted in the later rounds, then I can see let's get rid of this test. But in the first couple rounds, I don't think it's going to change people's draft position too much, if at all.
I'm thinking, depending on the, especially after, I think Vince Young did leave a sour taste in some people's mouth, if not most, that in the first round, when that premium pick is made and that money is going to be really big for that quarterback, I think they probably put a little bit more thought in it than they probably should. And that's why CJ Stroud fell to the 2nd pick instead of the 1st. Like he probably could have gone, now that we've seen how he played. But that's more revisionist history than anything else. You know, you just go, Jamarcus Russell. He had a very good score, too, for a quarterback. I think he had a 23, 24.
I think that's pretty silly anyway, because you have the tape, you do the interviews, and then you say, man, but he scored really high on the test and he scored low. We're going to take this guy.
It's overkill.
Yeah. What film and your in-person interview. That's what
you already know. That's what it should be. It sucks to me that players who've played all their time in college football and are already proven that they fit the job description, all they needed something formal like the combine to prove that what they saw is kind of commensurate with what they're doing here at the combine. But then things just change because someone decides to jump on a certain player. Somebody in the scouting department or a GM just jumps on a player for some reason, for whatever odd reason.
I think guys try to be too smart for
exactly. Yeah,
outsmart themselves. My question as a GM at the top of the draft for a quarterback: does he have good pocket presence? Can he make all the throws? How's his arm strength? You know, you got a list of maybe 6, 7 boxes. Check. Okay, that's what you base your decision on. But wait up, coach. Or wait up, Mr. GM. Here's this test. Get that test out of here, man.
Yo, I don't know about this, man. This dude's pretty dumb. Forget what you saw in the video. I don't think he's gonna cut it here, man. And then he goes be a star for someone else. Man, that's the truth, man. That seems like that's how it goes. And I talk about that Bryant McKinney story all the time with Leonard Davis and how he ends up going behind Leonard Davis when this guy had to give up a sack his entire time at Miami, including 2 national championship games. But yeah, you take Leonard Davis at first, and you end up changing him to a guard, and before you know it, he's out of the league. But yeah, man, yeah, good one there. Yeah, these GMs, those egos are there too. You can't tell them anything because ultimately they're going to make the decisions. these scouts zigzag the country trying to tell you, putting all this data together so they could come to a conclusion, make their big board. But the GM is the one making the pick. You know what I mean? Unless the owner's being a pain in the butt and helping out with it. But the GM is making the pick, and and it's going to be based on a Wonderlic score only, and then everything else. Come on, I saw a video. You need to see video.
I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was about Andre Rison, and it was his story. And I had forgotten he got drafted by the Colts, but then he got traded to the Falcons. For Jeff George.
That was a big trade, though.
That was, oh my gosh! You talk about getting fleeced. Jeff George. Whew.
Hey, it wasn't the Herschel Walker trade, or even the Russell Wilson trade that just happened a couple years ago, where Denver got fleeced. But hey, another story for another day. We're coming to the conclusion of this show. We'll be back on Thursday. Man, times are just flying on by, man, for real. But we'll be a little closer to March Madness, and maybe between now and then, the NBA does start back up on Thursday. So now you got all these games. I think there's 24 teams playing. So 12 games being played on Thursday. So they're giving you a whole plate full of NBA basketball because they know all eyes are on them now. Down the stretch they come. This is that time. Yeah, so now the pretenders are going to get left behind. The contenders are going to step forward. Or would it be the contenders kind of like stub their toes?
Are the Bucks going to play any defense? Are the Warriors going to keep up this, the level of play they've been? I think they've won like 8 out of 11.
The Lakers have been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That West, it's going to be tough for them to move up, though.
Yeah, it is.
West is loading.
And Sacramento, people don't even think about them. They're still playing well now. And then the Clippers, you have Minnesota, who's still at number 1 right now, the number 1 seed, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Man, I didn't see that.
Not by much. It might be half a game or a game.
What I'm saying. But, man, the Clippers, we thought it was the James Harden syndrome in the beginning, but it seems like everybody's
Wait to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. They'll be there, though, unless there's some type of ridiculous injury that happens in between time. Atlanta, Trae Young, he used to be a sweetheart and a darling, and now he's just another player. It seems like he's scoring a bunch of points, but still just another player.
Yeah, I don't think he has enough help.
And I think that's the case. That's probably why you heard him chirping about kind of want to leave Atlanta. And, the way players are these days, if they say they want to leave, you probably leave.
DeJounte Murray was a target. He's like, yo, what about me? Free Trae Young.
Man, I'm just looking forward now to all these NBA guys and see exactly who it is. Now, the team I think is the biggest anomaly, in my opinion, is Dallas. You have Kyrie Irving, you have Luka, and the team is, you look at the record, like, what's going on here? I know defense does matter, but what's going on here, man? It's like they win 1, lose 2, win 2, lose 1. It's just like they can't get out of their own way. And then Luka doesn't play every night.
If you think about it, both guys need the ball.
2 balls. There's another one of those 2-ball teams. Yeah, they both need the ball.
But I said it was a bad trade because is Kyrie going to stand out by a 3-point line, wait for Luka to pass him the ball? Or is Luka going to defer to Kyrie? I don't see that happening.
Nah, that guy, he's a good ball hawk. He cut down on the turnovers, but he's a good ball hawk. Yeah, but Kyrie needs to be, he can only be effective with the ball in his hand too. I remember Mark Cuban was so adamant about having Kyrie Irving, but after last season, he didn't seem like he was too interested in bringing him back, at least not as desperate as he sounded earlier in the season, but he came back after all. But anyways, man, I just think that Dallas is just an anomaly to me. I thought they should be better. When you look at the record, like, wow, I thought they were better than that. You watch them play, and you see them play, and you see what Luka does and when Kyrie's there, because he's always freaking injured in missing games. But anyways, we'll be able to talk about all that on Thursday because those games will be back. And NASCAR, I know you're not going to talk NASCAR, but Daytona 500 was postponed, so they're having it today. Yo, he's biased. If you can see him, I'm Trav. He doesn't want to talk NASCAR. The Sports Bag Bros is signing out. Deuces.
Adios.